Hi, my name's Katie, and I am making some masks, and I just wanted to throw this pattern out there. I know there's a lot of patterns out there already, but I had some requests for this pattern. This is what the mask look like, and it has a casing for elastic. The elastic goes behind the head, which is comfortable, and it also allows you to use cord elastic, sometimes a little bit heavier elastic that is actually still available online. So, and here's a little, show you what it looks like. It's got a little tuck here, and it's got a nose bridge here. Okay, so these are some of the supplies that you're going to need. Elastic, it could be round, you can use flat elastic. I've heard of people using just non-stretch paracord or knit material cut into strips. Okay, something for the nose bridge. We're just using this twist tie we got at the dollar store, cutting it to about 11-12 inches, folding in half. You can use whatever you have. This works well too. Fold it in half, fold another inch over, and maybe give it a little twist at each end. Okay, so, and then if you're using elastic, you're probably, at least the cord elastic, you're gonna wanna singe the end. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna show you how to do this. I am using 3 layers of tightly woven cotton material. You can use 2 layers. You can use a layer of interfacing in the middle, whatever is, makes sense to you. And so actually what I'm going to show you first is that I have, these are going to be either the inside or the outside. And I use this handy dandy ruler. You don't need one, but if you have one, it helps. They are 9 inches lengthwise here, and they're 7 inches this direction. And so I already have these 2 pieces cut, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the opposite side. So let's say I'm going to make it exactly the same as this one. It's got the pale color on the inside, the blue on the outside. Nurses, from what I've heard, have been asking to have a different color on the inside and the outside so they can tell which side they've had up against their face before if they have to take their mask off. Okay, so the blue side will make this the same as this mask. And so I'm gonna iron this real quick with my iron, flatten it out a bit. Nothing really has to be perfect. And so I'm gonna take this one that I already cut out and measured and use it sort of just as the diagram or whatever for the next one. And I'm just gonna cut around it because it does not have to be perfect. Okay, and I'm gonna do 2 at once here just so you can kind of see how I'm batching these to make it faster. Because I usually try to do, I try to cut out at least 20 at a time and then sew them in stages, and it makes it quite a bit faster because you spend a lot less time trimming little threads and switching your sewing machine around for the different stages. Okay, so I'm going to throw another one down here. And some people have roller cutters and those work good too. I'm just using this pair of scissors that actually could be sharpened, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so we trim around the edges. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly show you the 3 layer. So the 2 layer, this is what you would start with. I'm doing a 3 layer now because I know that folks want to use filters, and I found it takes me quite a while to make a filter pocket. So instead, I'm just going to use 3 layers of tightly woven cotton. And when I say tightly woven, It's kind of, you know, it's a little discretionary. It's hard to tell exactly, but you can hold your fabric up to the light and see how many holes are coming through. I'm using 100% cotton. This material here is like a tightly woven denim. And I actually found it was at Joann's, and it was in their upholstery section. So it's a very tightly woven denim, 100% cotton, as well as this. This is actually a very densely woven sheet. So that'll be the inside. I've also used poplin, broadcloth, and cotton sateen as the different layers in these masks. Usually the quilter's cotton, I don't know, the ones I've seen at least don't seem quite tightly woven enough, but you know, you got to use what you got. So and something's better than nothing. So and I'm not an expert on this, so whatever you figure out works. Okay, I'm sure this could go faster, but okay, so there we go. We have our two we're gonna do, and now I'm gonna take these over to the sewing machine, and I'm not gonna pin them or anything because I'm not too worried about them being perfect. So my machine's set to a straight stitch, and I'm gonna just line this up. We're going for 1/4 inch to 3/8 seam here. Now, if I'm gonna batch these, we'll do one, and then backstitch, and then go straight into the next one. And then you don't have to do so much little trimming of threads. And if I had 20 of these, I'd do all 20 of them in a row. But we'll just do 2 for now. Okay, end it. Trim. And actually, I'm gonna leave them connected, because if I had 20 of them, I'd turn them all around, and I just start on the next. I come back on the other side here, going like this. Same 1/4, 3/8 seam. Just try to make sure you got all 3 layers stitched together. They kind of hold each other flat, so that's good. And then let's see. Here we go. So here we go. Trim little threads here. It's really easy to trim in between your finished pieces over here. Okay, now we're going back to the ironing board. Pop these open. The red's going to be on the inside. Okay, pop them open. And I just do everything at the same time. So if I had 20, I'd turn them all inside out, and then I would iron them. And then I just kind of try to get the seam pushed out a bit, and then iron right along that seam there. Same thing on this other side here. Try to pull it out. Next one. Okay. Okay, so then the next stage is we're going to add the little nose piece that helps the mask fit down onto your nose. So we'll go back over here, and I already have some of my twist ties ready to go. And then what I would do, if I was going to do a lot of these, is I would, I use this tailor's chalk. If you don't have tailor's chalk, you can use pins. But I kind of line the first one up and make a mark, you know, a little ways on either side of it. And then I would just line these two up and like make a line there and say, okay, about there. And then I would go down with all 20 of them and do that so that all the marking is done at once. Then I come up here and backstitch. We're going to come down about 5/8 inch from the edge. So like I leave about, I don't know, 1/4 inch on the other side of my foot. We'll come all the way down to that other little mark we made, or your pin. Take this, I take the twisty side. I lift up my foot, and this kind of gets pushed in here as far as it can go, and then you kind of squish and grab and pull it to the end. Now if you have a better way to do this, that's great. We are just figuring things out as we go, and we get more tricks. The more of these we make, we find out how to do it faster. So this is not necessarily the fastest way that we found yet, or well, it's the fastest way I found, but you might find something better that works for yourself and your machine. Okay, we'll shove this one in. Okay, and then back stitch it out. Okay, now for the tucks, we do 3 tucks on each side, and they don't have to be perfect. I guess probably I'm doing about 1/2 inch for each tuck. And I try not to overlap them, as you can see if I'm doing that, because it can be a little hard for your sewing machine to go through all those layers, especially if you end up doing the 3 layers. You probably don't want your tucks to overlap too much. And then we'll go around and do it on the other side here. Oh, I didn't get that one. Okay. Maybe, let's see. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to tuck this one too real quick. So I can show you how I'm batching these ones as well. I use these pins that I get from Wawak. I think they're I don't know. They have balls on the end, and I think they're called florist pins. I'm not really sure. They're pretty sturdy. It can be hard to find a good pin out there. But having them at least be 1.5 inches long helps like immensely for something like this. So, there we go. And now I'm going to switch my sewing machine up here, however yours does, to a zigzag. You don't have to do zigzag here, but I am because I think it helps keep the ends from fraying. Back stitch, forward, taking out the pins as I go. Okay, so now this is how I'm going to show you how I batch it. Is we're just going to line up the next one right after that and just keep going. Back stitching to keep it from coming undone. Okay, and if I had 20, I just keep on going down the line. Trim there and trim there. I'm going to leave them connected though. And then just come on over to the other side. Then we'll trim in between. Okay, so yeah, the next thing is that we're gonna make a casing for the elastic. So we're gonna come back over here. Here's a little piece I made already. So this piece was 3.5 inches wide. So let me just show you how I do this. Is I'll take a piece of fabric and so each piece of casing is 3.5 inches tall by 1.5 inches wide. And instead of cutting out each little piece individually, because it takes a lot of time, and then stitching each one, I'm gonna do it all at once. So I'll use my little handy dandy see-through ruler, and we're gonna measure 3.5 and hold it up to this, and then I'm just gonna mark it with this. This is where this little tool comes in handy, but you know what? If you have a pen or something, or a pencil, it's not gonna show, and it doesn't matter that much right now, so we're not making fancy clothes. We're just making masks to protect people. So use what you have, and then we'll take my scissors. We'll cut this down the line. Okay, and this will make quite a few little casings. Then I take my iron, and I'm going to fold it over about 1/4 inch-ish and iron it down. Okay, so, and then let's just pretend I went the whole way. We're going to do the same thing on this other edge. 1/4 inch, fold it in. Okay, so you can kind of get the picture here. I'm going to make this. And then what I would do is I would stitch, and what I did on this one is you just do one long stitch here on your sewing machine. Throw this on the sewing machine and stitch all the way down. Okay, and it just makes this piece like this, where there's a stitch here about 1/8 inch in and a stitch here. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now because I think that was pretty understandable. Then I take my handy dandy ruler again and my chalk, and I measure 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch, and so on. Then we'll cut. Oops. Okay, so each mask needs 2 casings. So we'll take these over. I'm going to keep my sewing machine on zigzag. But you don't, I mean, if you prefer to go straight stitch, or if that works better on your machine, that's fine. I'm just going to hold it up to this, nothing fancy. We're going to go and just do the same thing here. And then to batch it, here we go again. We're going to do another one, just like that. Now, maybe you could do this all in one go without having to pinning all the pleats and then and then doing the casing at the same time, but I found that the pleats like to slide around a lot, and I think it ends up just being easier to do them in 2 separate stages. But that's up to you and what works for you. So, and then we go on to the other side. Oh, I didn't mean to cut those apart this time. Oh well. Whoopsie. Uh-oh. Well. Troubleshoot. Looks like I need a new light on my sewing machine. Okay. Sometimes the casing's a little bit longer than the mask. That's okay. Just sort of squeeze it in there. is in sight. We're almost getting close to the end here. We're gonna come back over and measure our elastic. And again, I would do all the, I would cut all the elastic pieces at once. And I am doing, this is like I think this is 1/8 cord elastic. And you know what, I'm gonna do 30 inches on it. It's not, it's kind of, heavy. The stretchier your elastic is, the shorter you can make it, but you kind of just need to, do a couple tester ones and see what works and, make your determination there for length on the elastic. Okay, so then we come back over here and woo! I'm gonna take these and lay them on the inside here. This is gonna get folded over about 1/4 inch, and then right here, 1 or 2 pins can hold it in place. 1/4 inch on that side, fold under. And then I don't really batch at this last stage. It's kind of hard to do that the way I'm putting them together. So this. Now, depending on how thick a fabric you're using, this last step can be a little bit hard to do on a home machine. So that's where maybe just using 2 layers is better. So now to make the tuck, I'm going to take this and fold it in half and pinch the end. Oh, it just kind of depends. I don't know. You could do 3/8 to 1/2 inch. Is kind of the pinch I make, and then it helps to have a little piece of, or a little pin in there. Okay. And we'll pin the other one. Okay. And then here we go. Switch your machine back to straight, or switch machines if you have more than one. And then here we go. Can be a little hard sometimes for your machine, but woo! Okay. Okay. And now we're done with the sewing on this mask. The last step here is take your 2 ends, and if you're using cord elastic or something that's gonna fray, you do need to singe it because it'll fray pretty quickly in the wash. And so for that, it's kind of nice to do it in a well-ventilated room because plastic is not supposed to be good to breathe in. But you give it a little singe and you have a completed mask. Oh. So anyway, I'll take the one I was wearing before, and just to show you again, I kind of stretch out the cord like this and put it over my head. Okay, and then kind of put my face in here and take this and put it around my, and then you can fit it to your nose. And that's how you make a mask.